It is better to be impetuous than cautious, for fortune is a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force. These words from Machiavelli strike at the heart of your first battle, the war against hesitation. When you cling to the past, you chain yourself to ashes. Armies that turned back have perished, not because the enemy was stronger, but because their own memory weighed heavier than steel. Hernán Cortés, in 1519, ordered his ships burned, so retreat was impossible. That act forced his men to fight with clarity. No bridge to yesterday, only the battlefield ahead. Your life mirrors that campaign. Every time you replay regret or nostalgia, you are staring backward while advancing into fire. The invisible chain is sentimentality. It softens the hand that should strike. It bends the back that should stand straight. History is filled with kings and generals who lost everything because they could not cut ties. Machiavelli warned that rulers who hesitate invite ruin, because men remember loss more sharply than death itself. You must remember this law. What is gone cannot be restored, but it can still destroy if you let it haunt you. The cost of looking back is immediate. Soldiers distracted by fear or longing break ranks. Leaders caught in memory miss the decisive moment. The same happens in your own battles. Reliving failures steals the energy required to win today. Dwelling on betrayal blinds you to the allies who remain loyal. The past does not care about your survival, yet you carry it as if it does. That weight is your greatest enemy. Power requires decisive separation. To build a throne within your mind, cut down every lingering shadow. When old attachments whisper, silence them. When regret knocks, close the gates. Ruthlessness toward your past is not cruelty, it is survival. The present demands a commander, not a mourner. Act as if retreat has been erased, because it has. Your past is a prison. The walls are built from stories you keep retelling. The ghosts are doubts that replay each time you hesitate. You do not escape by negotiation. You escape by fire. Eliminate the false comfort of nostalgia. Replace it with ruthless clarity. Weak, I wish it had been different. Strong, it is done, I advance. Weak, I lost too much. Strong, I command what remains. Weak, I miss who I was. Strong, I build who I must be. Delete what drags you down. Burn the ships behind you. Rule forward with no mercy for what lies behind. The only order worth giving is this: no retreat, only advance. Power begins where thought is mastered. The mind is your first throne, and if you do not sit upon it with command, someone or something else will. You can look like a ruler on the outside, yet if inside you are ruled by fear, doubt, or distraction, then you are nothing more than a dethroned king wandering his own palace. The first war is always fought in the private chambers of thought. Lose here, and no external victory will last. Within your inner court, every doubt is a traitor. It whispers hesitations, weakens resolve, and convinces you to question the clarity of your command. History shows that divided courts collapse. Leaders brought down by conspiracies usually fell not because of the enemy outside the gates, but because of betrayal inside their walls. Your thoughts can behave the same way. Allow a single disloyal whisper to linger, and it multiplies into chaos. You must treat a harmful thought the way a ruler treats a conspiring minister. Expose it quickly, interrogate its intent, and if it serves no purpose, remove it without hesitation. Doubt is not always false, but it must always be tested. If it is a warning, refine it into strategy. If it is fear dressed as reason, silence it. Commanding your mental guard requires ritual. Authority is never maintained by chance. Just as a throne is protected by soldiers who stand watch day and night, your mind is secured by consistent habits that reinforce clarity. Morning routines, journaling, physical training, or deliberate stillness. Each one functions as a guard at the gate. Without them, intruders slip in. The brain is vulnerable to constant noise, and if you do not actively filter it, the world's distractions will decide your priorities for you. Think of each ritual as the changing of the guard. Every time you repeat it, you demonstrate to yourself that the throne has not been abandoned. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is the armor of sovereignty. The danger comes when fear stages a coup. Fear does not knock at the gate. It rises from within. It takes the form of endless what-ifs and imagined losses. It convinces you to abdicate your position and hand the throne to panic. This inner coup can overthrow a lifetime of strength in a single moment of surrender. You must treat fear as an ambitious usurper. Recognize its tactics: exaggeration, paralysis, endless delay. The answer is not to deny fear, but to strip it of command. Accept its presence as you would accept a rival army on the horizon, then act decisively in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to hand it the crown. In daily life, this principle plays out in moments of pressure. A colleague disagrees sharply in a meeting, their voice cutting against yours. The dethroned mind reacts with agitation, raising its tone, defending without precision. The commanding mind listens fully, keeps its composure, and responds with clarity rather than volume. That is the difference between losing authority and proving it. When you control your thoughts, you control the pace of the battlefield. Weak: I cannot help thinking this way. Strong: I choose which thoughts deserve my attention. Weak: my fear means I should wait. Strong: my fear proves this is the moment to advance. Weak: distraction is normal. Strong: distraction is disloyalty to my throne. Do not abdicate. Rule your mind daily. Dethrone doubt, guard your rituals, and crush the coup of fear before it rises. Remember that no kingdom survives if the ruler does not sit firmly upon the seat of command. The mantra is simple: rule your mind or be ruled by it. The morning is the battlefield where every campaign of your life begins. Before the world stirs, before others move their pieces, you have the chance to seize the first initiative. Armies throughout history have understood this truth. At dawn, commanders gave orders, banners were raised, and soldiers advanced. The early strike was decisive because hesitation in those hours meant leaving the advantage to the enemy. You face the same reality each day. The enemy is not another army, but the weakness that waits in the comfort of your bed. If you do not declare war at sunrise, you fight the rest of the day from a position of retreat. Dawn has always been the moment when rulers proved their intent. Roman legions began their marches as the sun broke, exploiting the cool air and the enemy's fatigue. Alexander advanced at dawn to strike opponents before they had organized. History repeatedly shows that the day's opening hours shape its outcome. When you allow yourself to drift, to delay, or to soften in the morning, you have already yielded the advantage. The field is set, and you have surrendered the first ground without resistance. Your first decision dictates the war. The initial choice after waking is not minor. It sets the tone, defines the rhythm, and signals to your mind who is in command. If your first act is passive, the rest of the day bends toward passivity. If your first act is decisive, the rest of the day bends toward strength. Modern life is flooded with distractions, notifications, noise, endless demands. By claiming the early hour for focus, you claim sovereignty before the siege begins. If you give the morning to chaos, you give the throne away before sitting upon it. Comfort is the most skilled enemy. The snooze button looks harmless, yet it is a white flag of surrender. It tells your mind that the first command of the day can be ignored. Each repetition reinforces disobedience. Soon, you are the ruler who gives orders that no one follows. The palace crumbles not from external attack, but from indiscipline inside the walls. Visualize comfort as the rival army setting traps at the edge of your bed. Every time you press snooze, you allow them to breach the gate. Weak, I deserve a little more rest. Strong, I seize the day before it seizes me. Weak, I will start once I feel ready. Strong, I begin now. Readiness follows. Weak, this small choice does not matter. Strong, every choice builds the throne. Guard the battlefield of mourning with rituals that enforce command. Rise immediately, move your body, set your mind, direct your focus. Each act becomes a standard planted on the field, a visible reminder that the ruler has arrived. The first victory of the day does not guarantee triumph in every battle, but without it, you begin already wounded. Treat the morning as the campaign that determines the fate of the empire you call your life. Stand up, act with force, and march forward with clarity. The rule is absolute. Win the morning, win the war. Stillness is not surrender. It is the unsheathed blade that no one sees until it cuts. In every age of war and politics, those who mastered the art of waiting often conquered those who rushed forward blindly. Napoleon understood this well. He often paused, appearing inactive, while his enemies revealed their movements. By delaying at the right moment, he forced opponents into mistakes. His stillness was not emptiness. It was calculation. This is how silence becomes strategy, not weakness. You must adopt the same discipline. When the urge rises to speak too quickly, decide too soon, or move without clarity, remember that your greatest advantage may lie in the power of restraint. Strategic silence gives you more than time. It gives you information. While you remain composed, others speak to fill the void. They expose their doubts, their priorities, their limits. In personal disputes or professional negotiations, the person who grows uncomfortable with silence often reveals what they should have concealed. Your task is to weaponize calm. Hold the pause longer than feels natural. Sit with the tension. When someone pushes for your immediate reaction, resist the demand. By refusing to rush, you force the battlefield to tilt in your favor. Calmness is a form of psychological warfare. In a world addicted to noise, the one who is quiet gains command. A colleague grows frustrated when you do not rush to defend yourself. A rival becomes uneasy when you do not mirror their anger. In one disagreement, imagine someone raising their voice, pressing harder for control. The dethroned mind reacts emotionally, escalating the conflict. The commanding mind listens fully, breathes, and replies only once clarity forms. This response breaks their rhythm and demonstrates mastery without aggression. You win by refusing to play on their terms. The predator understands this better than any soldier. The panther does not waste energy chasing shadows. It crouches low, hidden in the brush, muscles coiled, eyes fixed. To the untrained observer, it looks idle. But stillness is the preparation for a strike so fast that the prey cannot escape. This is how you must treat moments of pause. They are not gaps in progress. They are the gathering of force. Each second of composure is weight added to the blow you will deliver when the moment comes. Weak, I must answer immediately. Strong, I will wait until my words have an impact. Weak, silence makes me look uncertain. Strong, silence makes me look in command. Weak, if I do not move, I fall behind. Strong, if I pause, I decide where to advance. Do not confuse motion with PR. Ogress. Many waste their strength by rushing forward without direction, and then collapse long before the battle is decided. Stillness is the ruler's discipline. Stillness is the general's patience. Stillness is the predator's weapon. Use it deliberately, and your enemies will defeat themselves before you lift a hand. The command is final. Be still until it is time to strike. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, because fear secures loyalty where affection fades. He warned that misplaced mercy destroys rulers, while measured cruelty preserves their power. This principle extends beyond politics into your own life. Growth requires discipline to eliminate what weakens you. If you refuse to cut, you will be cut down. Empires fell not from foreign armies, but from indulgence, corruption, and leaders who spared enemies that later destroyed them. Mercy toward what drains your strength is not virtue. It is betrayal of your own throne. Ruthless elimination begins with the branches that no longer serve the tree. A tree that carries dead weight cannot flourish. In your life, these branches take the form of toxic habits, shallow distractions, and relationships that quietly corrode your resolve. They smile as friends but sap your energy. They masquerade as harmless routines but chain you to mediocrity. If you tolerate them, you allow decay to spread. The cure is not negotiation. The cure is the blade. End the habit that numbs you. Remove the voice that drags you into weakness. Cut without apology. This is not cruelty toward others. It is clarity about what aligns with your growth. When you draw a boundary, some will resist. Imagine a friend who mocks your new discipline, telling you to relax or accusing you of arrogance. The dethroned mind defends itself nervously, seeking approval. The commanding mind responds calmly. I respect your view, but my path requires different choices. No raised voice, no defense. Just the clear signal that the throne is not shared. Disloyalty in your circle is no different than betrayal in a palace. You do not debate traitors. You remove them. The same rule applies inward. Weakness builds fortresses inside you. Comfort, fear, hesitation. If you allow them to remain, they expand until they govern you. A wise general, when retreating, burned the ground behind him so the enemy could gain nothing. You must do the same within. Destroy the outposts of laziness. Salt the soil where self-pity once grew. Leave no safe haven for the enemy within. This scorched earth clears the field for your advance. Weak, cutting ties makes me cruel. Strong, cutting ties makes me free. Weak, I can balance good habits with bad. Strong, bad habits poison every gain. Weak, I cannot lose these people. Strong, I cannot lose my throne. Elimination feels merciless in the moment, but it is mercy toward the future self who depends on your strength. Power is preserved not by clinging, but by pruning. Armies that refused to abandon baggage lost their speed. Leaders who spared conspirators were killed by them. You cannot govern if you are encircled by weakness. Rule requires decisive subtraction. Delete what corrodes, remove what betrays, burn what feeds decay. Every strike of elimination sharpens the throne you sit upon. The command is final. Cut without mercy, or be cut down. Machiavelli observed that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for all can see, but few can feel. Power, therefore, is not only what you hold, but what you project. The mask of command is the armor you wear in public, the image that shields weakness and amplifies authority. Without it, you expose your doubts to the crowd, and once revealed, they will use them against you. A ruler who shows too much of his private uncertainty is no longer feared or respected. He becomes a man stripped of his crown. You must learn to wear the mask until it becomes inseparable from your throne. Caesar understood this principle. His mask was never simply his victories. It was his posture, his gestures, the deliberate way he carried himself. He appeared calm in crisis, generous when he chose, ruthless when required. Even when his armies doubted, he stood unshaken before them. The Roman crowd did not follow the private man, but the figure who embodied strength. The mask was not a deception. It was a shield that allowed him to govern without exposing vulnerability. History is full of leaders undone not by defeat in battle, but by the collapse of their image. They removed the mask too soon, and the people saw weakness where they expected command. In modern life, leadership operates under the same theater. You are always being watched. Colleagues notice if you break under pressure. Friends observe if you betray your word. Strangers read your posture before they know your name. Every action broadcasts your command or your lack of it. This does not mean living dishonestly. It means realizing that presence itself is a strategy. When others raise their voices, your silence communicates control. When conflict rises, your steady tone commands respect. In one meeting, a peer may openly challenge your idea. The dethroned mind argues desperately, trying to prove worth. The commanding mind listens calmly, acknowledges the point, and responds with measured clarity. The mask does not hide truth. It reveals discipline. The actor king knows that the role becomes reality. At first, the mask may feel heavy, like armor not yet fitted. But repetition fuses it to you. Behave with command often enough, and your mind adapts. Walk with authority, and your body follows. Speak with clarity, and your thoughts sharpen. Weak. I must be authentic at all times. Strong. I decide which parts of me serve my throne. Weak. I will act natural and hope for respect. Strong. I will act with command until respect is natural. Weak. My feelings must always be shown. Strong. My feelings obey my rule. The mask of comma, and, is not falsehood. It is the discipline to control perception so that you remain untouchable in the eyes of others. It is the throne carried on your face, your voice, your presence. Without it, your crown slips. With it, you hold the field. Remember that all leaders, ancient and modern, rule twice, once by their deeds and once by their appearance. Do not neglect the second realm, for it often governs the first. The command is final. Wear the mask until you become the mask. The greatest assassin you will ever face is not outside the gates, but within your own walls. It waits quietly, patient, disguised as your softer voice. It speaks not in threats, but in gentle whispers that tell you to stop, to slow down, to choose comfort instead of conquest. If you fail to master this enemy, every external battle is lost before it begins. The throne you seek is first defended against yourself. History offers lessons in how warriors turned discipline into execution. The samurai trained not to hesitate. For them, hesitation was death. Their code demanded the immediate cut, decisive and final. A blade held too long was already defeated, for the moment of clarity would vanish. They lived and died by this rule. Delay is surrender. You must learn from their discipline. When weakness rises, you cannot allow debate. Act quickly. Execute the hesitation before it multiplies. Discipline is not a chain. It is the executioner that removes indecision. Without it, you are ruled by impulses that weaken your throne. In the modern world, the enemy is more subtle. It does not attack with swords or arrows. It attacks with comfort. The voice tells you to hit snooze, to skip training, to avoid the hard conversation, to delay the task until tomorrow. It seems harmless, even protective, but it is betrayal. This voice is the comforter. It offers rest when action is required, excuses when clarity is dead. To defeat it, you must recognize it as an internal traitor. Each time you obey it, your crown slips. Each time you destroy it with decisive action, your throne strengthens. Do not negotiate with the comforter. Kill its influence with movement, with follow-through, with command. There will be moments when you hear that voice and feel its pull. Imagine you have promised yourself to finish an important project. Fatigue creeps in. The comforter whispers that tomorrow will be better. The dethroned mind accepts this plea and yields. The commanding mind answers with the assassin. No tomorrow, only now. The task is completed, not because it is easy, but because weakness was executed before it spread. Calm, firm, final. That is the mindset of the inner assassin. To sharpen this weapon, visualize yourself as a judge and executioner. When a weak thought rises, place it on trial. Examine it coldly. Ask, does this serve my throne? If the answer is no, deliver the sentence. Remove it without sympathy. Weak, I will see how I feel later. Strong, I decide and act now. Weak, this excuse is reasonable. Strong, this excuse is treason. Weak, it's just a small delay. Strong, every delay feeds betrayal. The blade of self-betrayal must be turned inward. Do not wield it against others unjustly. Wield it against the weakness within you. The assassin is not cruel. The assassin is loyal to the throne. Each cut preserves your sovereignty. Each execution strengthens your rule. The ruler who refuses to eliminate weakness in himself will one day be eliminated by it. Remember this command and carve it into your mind. The throne does not fall from foreign invasion. It falls when the assassin within is ignored. Train it, sharpen it, release it against hesitation, excuses, and comfort. The law is absolute. Kill weakness before it kills you. Power grows where attention flows. What you feed will rise, and what you starve will wither. Inside every person lives two forces, the coward and the conqueror. One whispers of retreat, of ease, of hiding from risk. The other calls for command, for discipline, for decisive advance. Your empire is built or destroyed, depending on which one you nourish. Every thought, every action, every ritual is a form of feeding. The table is set each day, and the choice of who eats determines whether you rule or kneel. Rome itself offers a lesson in this truth. Its founding myth tells of Romulus and Remus, twin brothers abandoned and then nurtured by a she-wolf. That wolf's milk sustained them, not with softness, but with strength. It did not raise them to be prey. It raised them to be rulers. Nurture shapes destiny. The Romans understood that what you feed becomes what you become. Their empire was born from the ferocity of the wolf, not the weakness of a lamb. In your own life, the same principle applies. Feed the instincts that make you sharp, disciplined, and unyielding. Starve the impulses that make you fragile. Modern psychology explains this in terms of reward loops. Behaviors that are rewarded, even in small ways, are reinforced. The coward thrives when you give in to comfort and reward yourself with ease. Each time you indulge, you strengthen the pattern. The conqueror thrives when you attach reward to discipline. Every time you complete a hard task and acknowledge the strength it requires, you reinforce the predator. This is not abstract theory. It is the wiring of your mind. You cannot eliminate the coward's voice, but you can weaken it by refusing to feed it. Instead of giving yourself pleasure for avoidance, reserve it for action. Train your brain to see effort as victory. In practice, this means reshaping your daily banquet. Imagine a table where each seat is occupied by a force inside you. Laziness, fear, pride, and anger all sit waiting. Discipline, focus, courage, and resilience sit too. Only some can be served. When you spend hours on distraction, you feed the wrong guests. When you choose exercise, study, or meaningful labor, you nourish the generals of your empire. The coward grows frail when starved. The conqueror grows strong when honored. Weak. I cannot control these impulses. Strong. I choose which impulse to feed. Weak. Giving in once does not matter. Strong. Every choice trains the wolf. Weak. I want balance. Strong. I want dominance. This struggle is not abstract. It plays out in decisions that appear small. A colleague pressures you to abandon your priorities and join their indulgence. The dethroned mind yields, laughing nervously, feeding the coward to avoid judgment. The commanding mind answers with calm strength. I respect your choice, but my discipline comes first. No hostility, no defense, just the clear signal that the wolf of command has been served. Your throne depends on this daily feast. Every act is a morsel placed into the mouth of one wolf or the other. You cannot feed both. The coward waits, patient, hoping for scraps. The conqueror demands loyalty, and loyalty requires sacrifice. Feed the coward, and he grows strong enough to overthrow you. Feed the conqueror, and he guards your throne with teeth bared against every enemy. Remember the law carved into history. Starve weakness, feed strength. Life is a chessboard. Every move carries weight. Every delay shifts the balance, and every careless decision exposes your king. Intentions may sound noble, but the board does not reward wishes. It rewards precision. Generals throughout history understood this truth. War is not chaos. It is structured strategy. Frederick the Great often referred to his campaigns as chess played with human lives. Napoleon studied positions like a master, sacrificing minor elements to secure decisive breakthroughs. Their victories were not the result of hope, but of calculation. To lead your own life with strength, you must adopt the same view. Every day is a board set before you. and your future is determined by the pieces you choose to move. War as chess means every role has purpose. Pawns represent habits, small in scope, but capable of advancing or line. Knights and bishops reflect creative solutions, unconventional but powerful when placed correctly. The rooks are systems, structured and stable, protecting your flanks. The queen is your adaptability, able to strike in multiple directions. And the king, though rarely moved, is your core principle, the throne you defend at all cost. History teaches that generals who ignored the value of smaller pieces often found their empires collapsing. Likewise, the small disciplines in your life form the foundation for major victories. To dismiss them is to leave your board undefended. Strategic sacrifice defines mastery. On the board, pawns are offered to control space, to open lines, to bait opponents into overreaching. In life, this principle means giving up comfort for strength, leisure for growth, or short-term praise for long-term command. You cannot keep every piece. The player who clings to all loses momentum. The one who sacrifices wisely gains control of the field. In modern terms, it is declining the distraction that steals hours so you may advance the project that secures years. It is walking away from approval in order to preserve autonomy. Weak, I cannot lose anything. Strong, I sacrifice pawns to protect my throne. There will be moments of challenge when someone questions your move. Imagine in a workplace setting, you choose to decline an opportunity that seems attractive but does not fit your long-term plan. A colleague presses, "Why pass on this chance?" The dethroned mind scrambles to justify. The commanding mind responds calmly, "Because the move looks good now, but weakens my position later." No defensiveness, just clarity. This is the posture of a grandmaster who does not explain every detail to the crowd. He plays for the endgame, not the applause. To live as a grandmaster is to think 5 moves ahead. It means resisting the pull of immediate gratification and instead structuring your life as a sequence of deliberate advances. You anticipate how today's choice sets up tomorrow's opportunity, how small sacrifices lead to decisive strikes, how protecting your core principles ensures your survival when pressure mounts. Every moment is a calculation, not paralyzed overthinking, but disciplined foresight. The mediocre player reacts. The master dictates. Your life is not random motion. It is a battle of positions. Every move reveals whether you see yourself as prey or commander. Each day's choices either tighten your control of the board or hand it over to the opposition. Remember that careless players lose without even realizing when the balance tipped. Do not play carelessly. Do not play for the crowd. Play for the throne. The rule is unshakable. Move with strategy or be moved by others. Power is not gifted. It is forged like steel, hammered into shape by ritual and repetition. The strongest will is not born in moments of inspiration, but in the daily grind of discipline. Spartans understood this truth more than any people of their time. From childhood, they were trained for death, hardened through routines that stripped away weakness. Their entire society was built on the belief that constant conditioning produced soldiers who would not break. The Battle of Thermopylae is remembered not because they expected to survive, but because their training made them unyielding, even in the face of certain death. You must learn from this. Ritual is not optional. It is the forge in which power is made. Your rituals shape your fate. Each habit you repeat is a strike of the hammer, and each day of neglect is a crack in the steel. Modern life gives endless choices, but strength comes only from consistency. A body trained daily grows resilient. A mind fed with reading sharpens into a yani blade. A spirit guided by discipline becomes unshakable when storms rise. These are not random activities. They are deliberate acts of sovereignty. When you choose ritual over chaos, you declare yourself ruler of your time. Weak. I will act when I feel motivated. Strong. I act daily, and motivation follows. Weak. I will fit discipline into my life. Strong. I shape my life around discipline. This does not mean excess or cruelty to yourself. It means respecting your throne enough to guard it with structure. Consider a moment when you commit to a habit and someone dismisses it. They laugh when you decline indulgence or mock your strict schedule. The dethroned mind explains nervously or bends under pressure. The commanding mind answers calmly, I value my path more than your approval. This clarity disarms the critic, because no defense is stronger than confidence without anger. The ritual survives the challenge, and in surviving, it strengthens you further. Visualize each repetition as the forge of fire. Every action is a strike against the anvil. Sweat is the heat that tempers the steel. The discomfort is the flame that shapes you. When you rise early, you swing the hammer. When you endure resistance, you add heat. When you complete the task no one forced you to do, you harden the blade. Over time, you become a weapon fit for battle. Not perfect in every moment, but reliable when it matters. Just as no sword is forged in a single strike, no will is forged in a single day. Power is built through hundreds of blows, through the patience of the craftsman who knows that each swing matters. Ritual does not enslave you. It frees you from chaos. The undisciplined live at the mercy of impulse. The disciplined rule their lives with order. The ruler does not rise unprepared. He rises armored, sharpened, ready. Your habits are your armor. Your routines are your guard. Your repetition is your crown. The throne is not sustained by hope. It is sustained by the iron will, built in the forge of daily ritual. The command is final. Strike the hammer every day until you are unbreakable. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Fear secures stability, because it creates distance between the ruler and the ruled. This principle reveals a larger truth. When you cut ties with weakness and burn the bridges to your past, you rise beyond reach. You no longer depend on approval. You no longer negotiate with doubt. You become untouchable, not because the world stops attacking, but because its strikes can no longer wound you. The enemy swings at a phantom, and the phantom does not bleed. The prince understood that fear, when combined with respect, makes rulers immune to betrayal. Subjects may grumble, enemies may plot, but none move directly against a leader who projects strength. The same logic applies to you. When you govern your life with decisive authority, others hesitate to test your boundaries. They recognize the firmness of your rule. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. When your presence communicates command, challenges lose their force. Untouchable does not mean invulnerable to events. It means unshaken by them. Modern life constantly tests this immunity. Criticism comes easily. Failure arrives often. Betrayal sometimes cuts deep. But when you have erased your attachment to the past, these strikes no longer define you. A critic's words do not dethrone you if your throne is built on discipline. A failed attempt does not break you if you see it as part of the campaign. Betrayal does not shatter you if you have already killed dependency on false allies. Immunity comes from inner sovereignty. The king who rules himself is untouchable because no one else governs his worth. Imagine being confronted in public with harsh words or ridicule. The dethroned mind reacts defensively, rushing to argue, proving the critic's power. The commanding mind remains calm, listens, and responds with brevity. I understand your view. Then it moves forward without losing ground. The strike lands, but does no damage. This is what it means to be untouchable. Not that the arrows do not fly, but that they break against the armor of your will. To embody this state, visualize yourself as the Phantom King. You walk without the chains of regret, without the anchors of sentimentality, without the weight of hesitation. The past cannot claim you because it has been burned. Weak, I must prove myself to others. Strong, I prove myself only to my throne. Weak, their opinion defines me. Strong, my command defines me. Weak, betrayal ruins me. Strong, betrayal reveals who was never loyal. You become a figure who moves with purpose, unaffected by the noise of the crowd. The Phantom King rules not by hiding, but by refusing to be chained. Untouchable is not a gift. It is the reward for relentless elimination of weakness and decisive rejection of the past. It is the strength that comes when fear has been disciplined, when criticism has been redefined, and when betrayal has been stripped of its power. No one controls you because nothing outside your will governs your course. This is sovereignty in its purest form. The command is final. Rise beyond reach, rule beyond touch. Machiavelli wrote that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Power is not only about what you gain, but about what you refuse to lose. Every step of the journey, every battle within, every sacrifice of comfort, and every ritual of discipline has led here. All roads lead to the throne. You have burned the ships, silenced the traitors, cut the dead branches, and forged yourself in ritual. Each act has been part of a campaign designed for one end: sovereignty over yourself. This is not a theory. It is the final form of power, earned through elimination, construction, and command. History shows that rulers who endured were those who gathered lessons from every fight. Rome did not rise from a single victory, but from centuries of calculated wars, each one building the foundation for the empire. You are no different. The doubts you executed, the mornings you won, the stillness you weaponized, these are your campaigns. None existed in isolation. Each was a move on the greater board, a strike toward the same throne. The mistakes you left behind are now ashes that fertilize the ground for strength. This convergence of lessons is what makes you untouchable. The throne stands because every road, every cut, every strike has been directed toward it. To lead yourself now is to act as the general of your own empire. A general does not waste troops on vanity or scatter resources without thought. He directs with precision, aware that his command shapes the fate of thousands. In modern life, this principle translates to the way you lead your hours, your attention, and your choices. Every message answered, every task delayed, every indulgence accepted is either discipline or disorder. The empire is your life, and it requires the same clarity a commander shows in war. Do not waste soldiers on meaningless skirmishes. Do not scatter your energy on battles that cannot be won. Choose where to fight, when to fight, and how to fight. The sovereign life is not chaotic, it is deliberate. In practice, This means shifting from reaction to design. Most people live as foot soldiers, responding to orders from the world. They serve deadlines, noise, and opinions. The general of self writes his own orders. He dictates priorities. He places his troops of time and focus where they can bring victory. When others attempt to redirect him, he listens, but does not bend. Imagine a colleague demanding your energy for their urgency. The dethroned mind rushes to please, abandoning its own strategy. The commanding mind answers firmly, "My priorities are set. I cannot deviate. No anger, no apology, only command." This is how you preserve your empire. Beyond strategy lies vision. The black crown is the image of sovereignty realized, the symbol of final authority. Visualize yourself standing on the ashes of what once held you back. Regret, hesitation, betrayal, distraction, all burned away. You stand crowned, not because others placed it upon your head, but because you claimed it through discipline. You are not the same figure who began. You are a phantom king, untouchable, free from the chains of past illusions. Weak, I must wait for permission. Strong, I grant myself authority. Weak, my past defines me. Strong, my past is fuel, nothing more. Weak, I seek approval. Strong, I seek command. This vision is not fantasy. It is the natural outcome of consistent battles, fought and won. When all the principles converge, when the assassin within has done its work, when the rituals have forged iron will, you arrive here. You do not beg for power, you embody it. You do not chase control, you radiate it. The crown is not a decoration. It is weight, responsibility, and proof that you no longer yield to weakness. The Dark Protocol was never about destruction for its own sake. It was about the rebirth that comes after. When the past is deleted and weakness eliminated, you become untouchable. You become sovereign. You become the ruler who commands his own empire of self. The final convergence of all laws, all battles, all strategies is here. Take the throne without hesitation, because no one else will grant it. The command is absolute. All roads end at the throne. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune favors bold action. The same law governs you now. Do not leave this moment as a listener who nodded in agreement. Leave as a commander who issued his first decree. Power demands proof. Today, you must cut one chain that has held you back. Delete the contact that drains your focus. End the habit that steals your clarity. Close the door on the memory you revisit, but cannot change. Do not wait for the perfect plan. The throne is built step by step, and the first stone is laid by a ruthless cut. The first decree must be executed without hesitation. This is not cruelty. It is survival. You cannot rule while carrying traitors in your court. You cannot advance while dragging the baggage of weakness. The sovereign acts because delay is decay. Decide now, and let the act prove that your throne is more than words. Weak, I will think about it later. Strong, I will act before the day ends. Weak, I must prepare more. Strong, I am prepared enough to begin. Weak, I will wait for the right time. Strong, I declare the time is now. Once the decree is made, the march begins at dawn. Armies have always understood the power of morning. At sunrise, banners were raised, drums sounded, and soldiers moved. Victory is claimed by those who seize the first light. The same rule applies to you. Do not let tomorrow begin with compromise. Rise, act, and establish control before the world imposes its demands. Even one decisive move in the morning, exercise, study, creation, signals that you have assumed command. A day begun with strength often ends in victory. A day surrendered at dawn rarely recovers. There will be voices around you that resist this shift. Some may dismiss your resolve, telling you to relax or mocking your seriousness. The dethroned mind seeks to explain or defend. The commanding mind stands calm and firm. My discipline is my choice. No hostility, no weakness, just a boundary drawn with clarity. Leadership is proven not by noise but by consistency. When others see you unmoved, they begin to respect what they once questioned. Now you stand at the edge of power. The past has been burned, the weakness cut, the rituals forged, the masks secured, the assassin trained, the wolves divided, the board mastered. All converges here, into the throne that waits for you. Do not mistake this for inspiration. It is an order to yourself. Write it, act on it, live it. The throne does not come to those who hope. It comes to those who command. The decree is final. Today, I rule myself.